Yo, check it out.
The one in the white?
Let's have some fun.
Like someone had a good night.
Can't handle her booze.
So you don't remember anything?
I wasn't even drunk.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
She's good, dude. Friends are inside.
What happened to her?
Just got a little drunk, that's all.
They drugged the girl, and you're just gonna let them get away with it?
This is Maggie's cousin we're talking about. There's more than one of them this time.
It was that one guy, Keegan.
And you're sure you don't want to go to the cops?
Guys like this, I don't get in trouble.
Guys like this, they haven't met us.
Dark Moon, you ready for some destruction? We're on a revenge ride tonight. Next time you see a girl at one of your lame-ass parties that you think is weak, oh, you'll remember tonight. How'd it make you feel?
It made me feel amazing.
I know why you guys did what you did. You gave those guys what they deserved.
I want to make somebody pay for this. Those bitches don't know what's coming to them.
I don't want you getting caught up in this.
Just don't want you to get hurt.
See, we all thought you were on our team, but we all trust each other.
Keegan is coming for you.
This is war.
All this hate, it's just gonna get everyone killed.
Not sure where he is, but hopefully he shall be here in a second.
Yeah, I just texted with him. He should be here. How's your day going?
My day is going very well. This is my second Grimfest conversation of the day, so I am loving it. It's one of my favourite times of the year when Grimfest do their thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then I just get to speak to all these wonderful film people and watch lots of cool films. So
Are you a horror fanatic?
I am a movie fanatic, so I do love horror films, but I just don't make me pick a genre. That's cruel. Anything but musicals.
Yeah,
So,
I feel that. Oh my god, did you see Cats? I haven't even seen it, but I heard it was wretched.
I need to pluck up enough courage to watch Cats at some
Right?
point, but I'm all good. I will watch it when there's no more films left to watch.
Exactly.
That is pretty much. So how's your day?
It's good. This is my fifth interview.
Is this today?
Since 8 a.m. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 1. Yup, pretty nuts. But you know what?
That
Fuck
is-
it.
Exactly. So how are you finding them?
They're good. You know, the first one, so nervous. I couldn't even speak English, but I think I was just, overly tired and a little taken back. But then immediately I started to get more comfortable, just like anything in life. Yeah.
How many more have you got scheduled after this? I think Jake's coming in there. So,
One.
That is entirely my fault. I clicked the wrong button, thinking I was adding Jake to the call, but in fact I was cutting you off, I believe.
It's all right.
Right, let me track him down. We're in the middle of a conversation then as well. Rudely interrupted by me not knowing technology. Where is he?
All good. I don't even remember what we were talking about.
We were talking about the 400 conversations that you're in today. Add him to favorites, and then accept, and then hopefully. So I've done most of mine on Zoom today. So normally I do use Skype, but I seem to have forgotten how to use Skype today. So
Yeah, I had to download it. So I'm happy I figured it out in time because we had like 5 minutes. This other woman that we worked with, she took like 50 minutes.
really,
Yeah, but you know what? She did touch on a lot of depth subjects about the movie and rape, etc. So makes sense.
I'm very good at hitting time scales. Also, don't worry about it. I know that you've probably got. How many more of these have you got to do today?
Just one more. So
One more, and then you're done. One more. That's good.
good. All good. Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful to be here.
Ray, I have
Yo.
both of you, so I don't have to do this thing when I'm cutting one of you off, asking a question, cutting the other one off. That could get really strange and embarrassing for me mainly. So it is good to see the pair of you together. It's good to see that you're Jake, you're not a bad person. It's always good. So firstly, thanks to both of you for Revenge Ride. I loved it.
Thank you.
Obviously, with the subject matter of the film, it's a very, very tough film to watch. But it wasn't a tough film for me to watch, if that makes sense. You've done an amazing job. So where do I start? How did you... So let's go to you, Vanessa, first, because you were here first. And then I'll cut you off, so I would do this as an apology. How did you become involved in Revenge Ride?
I basically got the audition through a manager of mine back in the day, and I came in and I loved the role. The script obviously was very badass when I read it, and I got a phone call that I had booked it, and me and Jake actually, we know each other. We knew each other beforehand, before the movie, and I ran into him at the airport, so that was like a fun surprise.
Like standing in line. Wait a minute, why are you going to Ohio?
Yeah, like,
and I'm going to Ohio.
So you didn't know before you were standing in the line that you were in the same film?
Which made it so awesome because of the scenes take place, comfortability-wise.
Yes. Do you find, because I won't go into any spoilers because people are going to watch the film and they're going to go, oh, what's going to happen? Who's he? He's nice, I like him, and things. But you both go through one hell of a journey. It is a short running time, so it's about an hour and a quarter. There's no fat on this film whatsoever. It drops you in. There you go. Here's the story. Done. We're off, which is great. So, is it easier to do the scenes that you had together? Obviously, I'm speaking of the center point of the storyline because you know each other. Yeah, it was very helpful, at least on my side of things. And he's very professional. So he consoled and always made sure that I was okay and everything that he was doing. He really was attentive towards, and I appreciate it so much. But it was obviously a tough scene to film to shoot. But having Jake there and getting the reassurance and giving me what I need, that was awesome. I mean, very tough scenes to watch as well from a film viewing point of view, because obviously generally we watch movies to be entertained, and we go, like, entertain me. And the subject matter in that, whilst it's very realistic, it's not pure entertainment by any means. So as a viewer, it's very uncomfortable to watch. Should I watch this? How are we supposed to feel other than not liking Keegan? That's definitely a given.
Well, I think that's kind of the theme of today in our interviews has been the conversation and what this film inspires in that conversation. Part of shooting a scene like that is the communication prior to know where we can go, what we can or can't do, which is what gives us the trust. It's what allows Vanessa to trust me and for me to trust her in that moment, so that we can portray it as honestly as possible while being safe, because unfortunately this is something that happens far too often, and to portray it in any other way besides the most honest is kind of not diligent to the gravity of it. So it's a lot of conversation starters. It's not comfortable in those moments. Hopefully there's some entertainment with the bikes and the blood and guts at the end. But as far as the topic, the storyline, the issues that come up, there's a lot of nuance to it, which is pretty impressive.
Because obviously it's a modern film, but it also harks back to some of the classic 70s films, Death Wish, I Spit on Your Grave to a certain extent, even Last House on the Left. So there are sort of similarities in themes to those films. I was very happy to see the Revenge Ride. Melanie shot it in a very tasteful way. So the scenes that you two were involved in, for example, are not gratuitously shot. They're obviously very uncomfortable to watch, but I think the handling of those scenes was perfect as well.
if this had been done in the 70s, then maybe it would have been a bit, stupidly uncomfortable to watch as a film viewer. Whereas I think I'm very impressed with the shooting of it.
Yeah, they did a great job. Melanie had a great vision, I think, for the project once she came on, and I think she did a great job. She, having a woman's perspective is crucial and something that deals with the topics that we're dealing with in this film, and so to have her there as like our guiding force was great.
So how about Pollyanna? Because I've met Pollyanna once. I met her at Grimfest last year. Her and I have been virtual friends for years. There's actually a signed picture on my wall of Pollyanna done by Lucky McKee. She's amazing.
Yeah, she's just lovely. I mean, if you know her, then you know how amazing she is. She really made me feel, so much in every scene that we did together, and it was so easy to act with her because she's such a phenomenal actress, and we wrote some scenes together to make it a little bit more realistic to us and our perspective, and that in itself made us closer on set while we were filming. But I mean, she definitely, I looked up to her, and when we had our scenes together, she made me feel very confident in my, which was perfect, which is what you need from your co-actor.
Definitely. I had the same thing last year when I met her for the first time. I thought, I'm so nervous because I've been speaking to her for like 5 years on Twitter ever since she was in The Woman. And I thought, oh my God, I'm actually going to sit down and meet her. But she put me at ease straight away, and we shot a nice little interview, and we're like now best friends now. I like to say we're best friends now because we've met, so therefore we're best friends and stuff. But so what was your experience with Pollyanna, Jake?
Pollyanna is awesome. She's gravity. She really not only does she put you at ease, but she inspires you in a lot of ways. She motivates you to be better, especially just due to how she brings herself to the set. She brings herself fully to the character. And as someone who feels like I do the same thing, when you find that equal, especially given that we were very much opposites in this, in the hard scenes, in the fight scenes, it allowed for a great reality in the whole idea and the whole situation. She's great. I really enjoyed working with her.
Now, looking at sort of both your characters, you had the frat parties going on, and that looked all crazy. You had the wonderful biker gang, and that all looked crazy. Was that as crazy when the camera stopped rolling, shooting? I get the impression it probably was. It looks like, other than the really dark scenes and the tone of the film, the cast and crew would have had so much fun together.
I mean, they were a real motorcycle gang of women. And
really?
Yeah, they were.
Okay, did not know that.
Yeah, so that's a cool little fact.
Mm.
And they were just all around very, very awesome, and they were just happy to be there, and they just like laughed at everything, and they made you feel so comfortable as well, because I had to bear it all, during the initiation scene, and they did nothing but clap me on, so that was fantastic. Yeah, they're cool.
So that explains why everybody looked like they were so bonded, because they were a real gang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was the rehearsal? What was the sort of rehearsal and on set time like for you guys? I mean, do you have any idea what the film shoot schedule was?
I mean, it was full days. Like this was done pretty quickly. It was a pretty fast shoot. But I didn't feel like there was overt days. The only days that were hard were like the overnight scene, fight scene. Like that scene was all shot in one night, the ending scene. So we had a lot of work to do that night. Impressed that we got it all done. The sun was definitely on its way to not being dark when the final scenes were shot. So they did a good job making sure that stayed together in post. But in general, we had a classic 10 to 12 hour day the most days, except for that overnighter. And it was great. I felt like the team outside of shooting, everyone was great. Everyone bonded. We all had moments where we were together as a group, where we were had, off by one, a couple of us would go and have lunch or something like that. Like it was a nice experience. There wasn't any drama on set at all, which is always a positive. So yeah, I can't say anything but good things.
Yeah, I'll just make this short. Yeah, exactly what Jake said. We all stayed at the same hotel, and whenever we had a scene to rehearse with one another, we would just go to each other's rooms and bang it out. Not physically bang it out, you know what I mean?
No, not physically bang it out. No. And you were saying, Jake, the quarry scene was all shot in one night.
Yeah.
That's quite. I mean, that's the longest scene I believe of the movie is the whole quarry scene stuff. So that's some good going to get all that in one night, because there was a lot going on in that scene.
Yeah, we did a bit of rehearsal a few nights before, a little bit just with the fighting and how we were going to do it. Or at least we talked about it. I'm trying to remember. It's been a few years, but they did a good job. I mean, honestly, they, in something like that, it's about efficiency, and it could get really long-winded if everyone's trying to do all these crazy moves. But it was pretty realistic in that, like, in something like that, it's not gonna last forever. These aren't like trained fighters. No one's like a trained fighter. So it's gonna take a one shot or two, and then suddenly it's going one direction or the other. And I think with regards to that reality, they did a great job making sure we didn't bite off more than we could chew, so that we could take care of business and get it done in one night.
Yeah, the cool part about that scene was, I was like in a pool of fake blood for just hours on end. Just hours. So like sticking to the floor, and just, this was an old, abandoned warehouse. And I mentioned in the other interviews, it was pouring rain, and this warehouse, I swear to God, like it was like crumbling, like pieces of the wall would fall off. So I'm happy that we all didn't die.
I'm happy that you didn't die as well. So you said it had been a few years. When was this filmed?
Like
2017, I think, right?
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. 2017, August 2017, somewhere pretty much 3 years ago today. Right about now. Yeah.
So how sort of strange is it when somebody like me has just said, "Oh, so what was it like on this?" And you've done other work since then, and you're like, let me cast my mind back. Because for me, I watched this film yesterday, so for me, it's super fresh in my brain. So what is it like when you're doing the press for something that's a couple of years old?
Well, they sent the movie over, about 2 months ago. The final product, when we first filmed it, they said it was from a different production company, and it was a different version. So this one, I kind of fresh in my mind as well. And you know what? You don't really forget the scene that you performed. You were there. You know what happened. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's funny because it's like Vanessa said, you don't forget them. Like, I'm like, wait, what was my character's name? Okay, cool. I got that. Once I get that, like, I feel like I'm cool, because the scenes are like, they're so in you from being in that moment. It's the like rhetorical data that can be a little fleeting at times, but yeah, you don't forget it. They're all special. Like, you can go back to each one and be like, oh, these are like the moments that stuck out in my mind. I'm not a big smoker or anything by any means, but like at sunrise on the final day, like having a cigarette after like battling all day, it was like an interesting experience. Yeah.
How do you shake the characters off? Because obviously each of your characters has a certain baggage from the roles that you're performing in the film. How easy is it to go home at the end of the day and go, right, okay, let's put that in a box and take it out when we resume shooting? Or does that sort of character never really leave you?
I feel like that pertains more to Jake. Role.
Yeah, it was, for me, it was definitely, I'm not a method actor by any means, but I am imagination based. So for me, it was a lot of work and allowing myself to find myself in the circumstance would allow me to empathize with my character, which, given the character, is a pretty dark world to go into. It caused me to have a bit of closedness when I came back. I definitely, because I like to stay in acting class, just to be sharp and to work that muscle, I just enjoy doing it that much. And I remember coming back and being like surprised. Like, I didn't check it on like a day-to-day basis, but in those moments where like something was triggered and I got, instead of being like emotionally available, I was more like wanting to fight. Like those emotions came up, like a closeness, a wall would come up, and you're like, oh wow, when this is a couple weeks after playing that character, you're like, oh, this is what this is. This is how this is still in me, and how I need to like release it, you know. So it was a good experience for me to do that rep and feel what it was like to let that skin fall off after a week or a month or so.
But all's good now. You're okay now.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, for me on my side of things, you know, I related to the character in a lot of ways. The only day that was honestly really difficult coming back home to was the rape scene, because it's so prominent, it's so real in real life, and it's happening everywhere. And you know, a lot of the time we feel like it's our fault, and we're quiet about it, and which leads to suicide and etc. So, you know, I go home and I have these thoughts in my head before I go to sleep, and you do have to shake them off, because, you know, it's painful, but it's also it needs to be spoken about. Like, it needs to be talked about. We need to have conversations about it, so that the people feel more like they have a safe place. And yeah.
Because it's like I'd mentioned in the beginning, it's like this was a movie, but there's nothing in the film that is far-fetched. You know, there's nothing in Revenge Ride you could watch, you go, oh, that never happened. Oh, this is all made up by a script. It is realistic events that are happening to a lot of people. So, which is obviously part of it's uncomfortable to watch, which is kind of the point. I think if you got to the point where you would just watch that and go, what am I going to watch next? I think then, you know, maybe the viewer would have a problem. But you're both okay now. You're doing well. So,
of course. Yeah.
What is the? I'm trying to think. You must have had a lot of fun, Vanessa, other than the pivotal scene, because you're kind of like the trigger, so to speak. You know, a bunch of characters go, "We're going to do this," and you go, "Fine, I will let them do it." I kind of agree with you. I'd let them do it as well, but. So you go through that whole story arc. Because when I first saw you in the film, I wasn't sure how long you would be in the film because I didn't know the plot. I thought you were going to be the introduction to the plot, and then the bikers would then go do their thing, and this is where the title of the film would come. But it's definitely not that. You're along for the whole revenge ride.
You know, it was a crazy journey. It was a really, really long journey, and you know, there's this defining moment where she realizes that no one's going to listen to her, and she doesn't have the proof of it happening, and no, you know, the cops aren't going to do anything. So she confronts her cousin about it, and she introduces her to the biker gang, which is a massive support system of women for her. And you know what? She wants to get her revenge because all these other women are telling her, you know, this is what we got to do. This is what you should do. This is what's going to break you free and let you move on from this horrific experience that happened to you. So after she does go through that, and she does brands the boys on the ass and gets away with it, which is great. Obviously, I feel like no matter what you do, it's gonna, these traumatic situations are gonna affect you forever. It's not something that just goes away. But she's, in my eyes, you know, was a humble and genuine and a good person at heart, and at the end of the day, didn't want anyone dead. Didn't want anyone to die. Like, she wanted to inflict pain that was inflicted on her, but not in a way where it was just evil, you know? So, yeah, it was a trip. And then at the end, she ends up being caught in the crossfires. And I mean, I think that was cool. I think that was really cool because, you know, good prevails in a way.
I hope that somebody sorts that coach out, Keegan's coach.
Yeah.
You know, there's quite a few villains in Revenge Ride, but the coach for me was like, you're really out of order. I was not a fan of the coach.
He was really as he was a sweetheart.
Human.
Like,
yeah,
it's
he's a sweetheart.
yeah.
It's interesting. I think the movie deals in a lot of like people waiting and villainous activity, you know, just, or not villainous, but like not necessarily righteous activity. Like, they're really the three most righteous are, you know, Brian and Maggie and Mary, in my opinion. And then the rest of us are pretty much like playing a game Well, for my character, it's all bad. I got to be honest. But you know, as an outside observer, that is. But even for like Trigga, who's doing something that feels right and in the moment feels good, like you start going overboard, you know. And I think that's one of the beauties of the film, especially having seen some of the reactions from people today and how it's affected them. It's been an interesting experience.
I think Trigga goes over the top when she mentions the name Brian. I think for me that's when it goes from, okay, I liked your character, but don't know if you should be going in that direction. So I was a little bit mad with her for that point of view, because like you said, Brian's a really decent guy who just, you know, doesn't feel like he wants to fully go out on a limb, and when he does, you know, people just shut him off. So
Yeah.
shout out to the Bryans of the world, I think.
Yeah.
So what were some of your highlights of shooting the film, other than bumping into each other on the in the queue to go in the first place?
I mean, the highlights of the film for me was definitely the fight scene and the special one-on-one scenes that I had with Pollyanna. You know, where the one where I'm on the bike and she's teaching me how to ride. I know it was such a short little snippet, but I mean, there's just like, that's the first time you really see me enamored with her and just completely like looking at her like puppy dog faced, like just totally love her. And I think that was like a sweet little bit. And we talk about, you know, how I really want her and Maggie to, you know, not fight anymore, and I don't think it's worth it. But she's talking about, you know, what's right, and we still need to fight for all the people that have wronged us. So yeah, that was good. Oh
yeah, I enjoyed the fight. Go ahead, Vanessa.
no, nothing. My cat just attacked the dog.
Sorry. That's amazing. No, for me, you know, I really enjoyed the fight scenes as well. I like the team aspect of that, like everyone coming together and putting something together and working hard and diligently throughout the night to make sure we get it all done. Had some good moments. You know, actually, Diego and I became friends in it, so it was nice to chat with him. And also the director. It was one of the most in-depth things I'd done as far as conversations with the director. Melanie was great. I really enjoyed just our initial discussion about the character and how she was open. And I think if Vanessa has and would agree that she was open to our input as far as what we wanted out of the character. And when it didn't align with the vision, like, she was happy to tell us, which is nice. You don't, as an actor, you want someone to be like, all right, here you go. This is, I like what you're saying, but let's like keep it right here. It's nice to have a little bit of that guardrail, because we can go in all sorts of different directions. That's the fun of what we get to do, and also how we can get in trouble. But, you know, I really enjoyed, and I don't have a bad thing to say. I think there was a lot of a great camaraderie on what was an independent film where everyone has to be down to do the work, to work hard, and to be a part of the team. If anyone's out of line or anyone doesn't sign up for that, then they become an outlier, and it really has an impact on the energy of the set.
Vanessa? What was one of your highlights?
The highlights. I feel like the initiation scene, and you know, I know it was a really difficult scene to film when I wake up on the pavement. You know, it wasn't exactly a fun scene to film, but you know, I'm very grateful that I was able to portray a character that's been abused and woke up in a scenario where she was being mocked at, you know, being called a slut, and that was harsh, but you know what, that's the harsh reality of the world. And I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm happy to portray that. So that was cool for me to be a part of.
No, a final question to you both. So you've both obviously seen the film now. You've seen the finished version. Who was the first person that you showed it to that obviously is close to each of you? What was their reaction to it? Obviously for different reasons. So people would watch your character, Jake, and go, whoa. And then people would watch your character, Vanessa, and have a very different reaction and just want to give you like a really big virtual hug.
Well, I hug too. Yeah, my dad and my mom saw it with me, and my dad started crying at the end, like I died. I was like, Dad, I'm right here. Um, but you know, they really loved it, but they are my parents, so of course they're gonna love anything I do, even if they don't. No, but they really enjoyed the film, and they thought it had a lot of edge to it. You know, it's like a classic cult, badass motorcycle war film. You know, independent, a really cool film. I think it's gonna be around for a while, and I think if people, you know, get to see it, I think it'll spread.
Well, I think with the amount of interviews that you've been doing today, I think word is definitely spreading about it. So that wish has certainly come true.
Yeah.
There you go.
What about yourself, Jake? Who was the first person to watch it?
I watched it with my best friend. You know, the interesting part in all this that we get to do is seeing people telling you that like they don't see you anymore. You know, like in something like this, especially given the character and juxtaposed to who I am in real life, which is much more goofy and lighthearted a lot of times, depending on what is needed, obviously. But it's nice to, if it can be said to be nice when someone sees me in this character, it was nice to see people not see me, you know, to recognize this guy and see him as a full human. You know, I think one of my favorite things to hear is, you know, I didn't like this person, but I saw them. I got them. I understood who they were. Not understood as in I agree, but like this is somebody in the world, you know, and that's always important for me to hear, because otherwise it becomes like two-dimensional and you're a surface actor, and no one wants to be thought of as that.
No, well, there is nothing just on the surface about Revenge Ride at all. I loved it. It is a film that I'll be watching several times over the next however long. No, I'm not going to put it on every 5 minutes because that means, you know. But I do have a little. No, I screen it constantly. No, I have a Pollyanna McIntosh collection of DVDs in the other room and stuff, so that will very, very proudly go amongst that as well. And I'll be keeping an eye on the pair of you as well, watching the different films. I'm always a fan of seeing new actors and new actresses who I weren't familiar with before, and then let's see where they go. So I spend a lot of time on Twitter and, you know, doing podcasts and this sort of thing and writing about movies. So I'll be keeping an eye on you too. And
thank you so much, Stuart.
Seeing where you go too. So
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you reaching out and wanting to meet with us. Like, you know, sometimes this stuff like takes a while to come out. Yeah, but as the only way one can at this moment, it's nice to see when things that you did a couple of years ago are touching people, you know, and making people think. That's the dream.
And then making people have that debate, have that conversation, taking it beyond the end credits, and then, you know, carrying on talking.
Mm-hmm.
So,
exactly.
But I wish you the very best of luck with all the rest of the press that you've got to do. I look forward to seeing your next project, and then just make sure you have a rest when you've done all this talking.
Yeah.
And say hi to you.
So nice to meet you.
And you too. Say hi to your cat as well, who very nearly got a cameo in this this film. So Grimfest are going to be watching this after, because this is my fourth one of these that I've done in the past 2 days for them, and I know for a fact they're watching them. So can you say hi to Team Grimfest?
What's up, Team Grimfest? Thank you guys for showing some love. Thank you.
Love you.
Fantastic. Will you enjoy the rest of your days? Thank you very much for taking some time out to speak to me. It is much appreciated.
Of course. Thank you, Stuart. Have a good one.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.